Getting old is something most of us dread. The grey hairs, the memory loss, the increased frailty. None of it is good. But these remarkable celebrities have taken it all in their stride. In fact, many have continued to achieve and be active in their twilight years. Yes, these iconic celebs, from legendary actors to still stunning models, are all proving that age really is just a number. 1. Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman is arguably one of the finest American actors of the last 50 years, and while he no longer makes movies, the former Marine doesn't need to. He's more than proven his talent with his 2 Oscars for The French Connection and Unforgiven. The Nonagenarian was also undoubtedly the best part of 2004's welcome to Mooseport, his final big-screen gig. Happy retirement, Gene. 2. Noam Chomsky. The world's most cited living author, Noam Chomsky is one of America's greatest thinkers, and he shows no sign of slowing down even in his 90s. Yep, Chomsky is still teaching and writing books, despite the fact that he's already penned over 150 of them. The secret to his longevity. It's what the academic calls the bicycle theory. Basically, as long as you keep riding, you don't fall. 3. Sophia Loren. One of the most celebrated actresses of the 20th century, Sophia Loren is a name very few of us don't know. The Italian bombshell has won numerous accolades and plenty of acclaim for her performances in such films as Houseboat, Lady L, and It Started in Naples. And the former pin-up is still active in her 80s. Proof? In 2020, she appeared in the Italian drama The Life Ahead. 4. Angela Lansbury. You'll know Dame Angela Lansbury from playing the intrepid Jessica Fletcher in Murder, She Wrote. How could we ever forget that typewriter? But the British star has much more than one iconic role under her belt, especially as she's been in the biz for nearly 8 decades now. Yep, her first movie was 1944's Gaslight, and Lansbury's not given up her passion just because she's reached her 90s. 5. Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins is both a hugely popular and acclaimed actor. The Silence of the Lambs star has received plentiful awards for his often charismatic character acting, chiefly an Oscar, 2 Emmys and 3 BAFTAs. Plus, the Welshman's impact on the arts has been such that he was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II. Now, in his 8th decade, Hopkins has continued to appear in films, including The Father and Elise. 6. Dick Van Dyke. And who doesn't love Dick Van Dyke? The actor and funnyman has enjoyed a long career on the big and small screens. He is perhaps best known for his starring roles on The Dick Van Dyke Show and Diagnosis Murder, and movies Chitty, Chitty, Bang, Bang, Mary Poppins and Dick Tracy. Van Dyke is still active in his 90s, with a few roles in the pipeline. 7. Julie Andrews. Julie Andrews is one of England's most celebrated actresses. The star of Mary Poppins and The Sound of Music has enjoyed a 7-decade-long career at the top, and her legendary status was underlined when Queen Elizabeth II made her a dame in 2000. She has also won most of the major acting awards and continues to work in her 80s, lending her voice to the TV series Bridgerton, which released its 2nd season in 2022. 8. Bob Barker. Bob Barker is a household name in America primarily due to him hosting The Price is Right for 35 years. Yes, Barker was the affable host of the TV game show, the longest-running daytime program of its kind lasting until 2007. He also hosted a popular radio show prior to that, fittingly titled The Bob Barker Show. The animal rights activist is well into his 90s now, and he's retired from television, so hopefully he's enjoying a well-earned rest. 9. Tippi Hedren. Tippi Hedren shot to fame after appearing in the Alfred Hitchcock classics Marnie and the Birds. Prior to Hollywood, Hedren toiled as a model, before a TV commercial brought her to the attention of Hitchcock. The nonagenarian is still occasionally active, lending her voice to Something Horrible in 2018 and appearing in drama Cougar Town in 2013. She is mom to actress Melanie Griffith and grandmother to Dakota Johnson. 10. Loretta Lynn. Loretta Lynn has gone from infant terrible to the grand old woman of country music. The Kentucky native has released a staggering 45 solo albums during her 6-decade recording career and toured for almost 50 years until a stroke in 2017. Now into her late 80s, Lynn has remained musically active. She even released 2 albums in 2021. 11. Kim Novak. Before she largely left acting in the late 1960s, Kim Novak was a big name in Hollywood. The Chicago-born actress began her career in the 1950s and went on to star in the likes of Picnic, The Man with the Golden Arm, and Vertigo. The last of these movies, a top-drawer Hitchcock thriller, is perhaps her finest moment. Novak appeared sporadically in TV and film after the 1960s, but quit for good in 1991 to enjoy a long retirement. 12. James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones is a real titan of acting. For over 7 decades he lit up theaters, cinemas and living rooms with his versatile roles, and he is perhaps best known to audiences for starring in The Hunt for Red October and Field of Dreams. But let's not forget his voicing of Darth Vader in the Star Wars series too. Despite turning 90, he's still working. His latest movie, Coming to America, was released in 2021. 13. Carol Cook. Carol Cook got her acting break way back in 1956, and the Texan had barely stopped since. Appearing in movies, on television, and in musical theater, famous works of hers include the motion picture The Gauntlet and TV series Dynasty, Cagney Lacey, and Knight Rider. Now in her late 90s, Cook's most recent foray into acting was in the 2018 film Waiting in the Wings, Still Waiting. 14. Larry Storch. Larry Storch is a name you might not know by heart, but you've most likely seen or heard him in a film or TV show. That's because, according to IMDb, the comic and voice actor has a remarkable 246 credits to his name. Storch's most recent credit was an appearance in the TV series Medium Rare in 2010. Now closing in on the big 100, it's unlikely but not impossible he'll show up in something again. 15. Tony Bennett. Who doesn't love Tony Bennett? Even if his jazzy pop music isn't your thing, it's hard not to warm to the likable crooner. He's enjoyed a career spanning 7 decades, which has involved many ups and downs and a big comeback in the 1990s. In recent times, the now nonagenarian has performed with contemporary stars such as the late Amy Winehouse and pop princess Lady Gaga. 16. Carmen del Arefis. Carmen del Arefis began modeling back in 1946, a year after the end of World War II, and incredibly, the American is still working as a model today in her 90s. Yes, Del Arefis, who landed on the cover of Vogue aged 15, admirably refuses to give up her passion and has smashed beauty norms and ageism in the process. Hats off. 17. Barbara Eden. Barbara Eden found success in 60s comic hit series I Dream of Jeannie, playing the eponymous trouble-causing Jeannie. And since then she stayed pretty busy, writing her memoirs and continuing to act until the present day. Life hasn't always been kind to her, though in particular she suffered a breakdown after her only son, Matthew, overdosed and died in 2001. 18. Ann-Margret. Ann-Margret might have trained as a singer, but she really made her mark through cinema. Films such as Bye Bye Birdie and Viva Las Vegas, in which she starred opposite Elvis Presley, showcased both her singing and her sex appeal. Later classics like Carnal Knowledge, meanwhile, stretched her acting talent to the full. Nowadays, Ann-Margret is still making both music and movies. When Broadway World asked her what's next in a January 2022 interview, she said, "I would say just relaxation. Being with my friends is relaxation, and I'll get my energy up, then I don't know what I'll do, and I never know." 19. Richard Chamberlain. Teens went crazy for Richard Chamberlain in the 1960s, all thanks to his lead role in Dr. Kildare. All in all, the star has had a long and prosperous career and has an impressive 86 credits on IMDb. At the time of writing, his last role was in 2019 for a movie called Finding Julia. And there's no telling whether we'll see him pop up in something in the future. Chamberlain has spoken lots about his love of Hawaii, so we wouldn't blame him if he just wants to spend his time chillin' by the beach. 20. Eva Marie Saint. Eva Marie Saint has enjoyed a career in Hollywood, totaling an incredible 75 years. The New Jersey-born actress has appeared in numerous iconic films, such as Hitchcock's North by Northwest and Elia Kazan's On the Waterfront. And her performance in the latter earned her an Oscar. Until 2022, she was the oldest living Oscar winner. 21. George Lazenby. George Lazenby is best known for playing James Bond in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. The Australian was a model at the time of his casting in the 1969 film, which is based on Ian Fleming's novels. It would be his only turn as 007, but Lazenby would appear in a wide variety of movies and TV series over the next 50 years, including Gettysburg and Baywatch. The octogenarian is still active, with projects in the pipeline. 22. Jill Saint. Jill Saint. John will forever be remembered as the first Bond girl from the United States. The Californian appeared in the Roger Moore starring 007 flick Diamonds Are Forever as the redhead temptress Tiffany Case. Saint John has appeared in many movies and TV shows since, from Tender is the Night to Seinfeld, and she's married to the veteran actor Robert Wagner. 23. Robert Wagner. Robert Wagner has enjoyed a fruitful career on TV, the stage, and in film. The Detroit-born actor starred in the small screens It Takes a Thief and Switch, and he appeared in the movies The Pink Panther and Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery. Wagner was present when the actress and his then-wife Natalie Wood drowned in 1981. After years, he was named a person of interest in the unsolved case, but has always maintained his innocence. 24. Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks is in an exclusive club of people who have won the whole award set for the American arts that's an Oscar, Emmy, Grammy, and Tony and EGOT. The legendary funnyman and filmmaker won the Oscar for his classic comedy The Producers, with 1 Grammy and several Tonys coming for the Broadway version of it, and the Emmy was first achieved for his variety show writing. Now into his 90s, the Blazing Saddles legend shows no sign of slowing down. 25. Norman Lear. Norman Lear is a name you might not know, but you've almost certainly watched something that he wrote. We're talking Sanford and Son, All in the Family, and The Jeffersons, amongst many others. Even as he closes in on the Big 100, Lear is still active and working. Just check out IMDb to see all of his upcoming projects. 26. Marsha Hunt. Marsha Hunt was initially an actress, appearing in Born to the West and the 1940 version of Pride and Prejudice, among other movies. Then, after being blacklisted from Hollywood in the wake of McCarthyism, she also became a devoted activist. Hunt traveled throughout America giving speeches about the importance of helping the developing world and engaged in work helping the homeless. And while she's seemingly fallen victim to ailments that afflict many in old age, apparently she uses both a hearing aid and a walker. She's still alive and kicking in her 11th decade. 27. Gena Rowlands. Hollywood legend Gena Rowlands enjoyed an award-winning acting career for over half a century. She appeared in movies, on stage, and on TV, working with the legendary director and her late husband John Cassavetes on 10 films. Notable works include Gloria and The Notebook, the latter directed by her son Nick. The veteran actress' final project before a richly deserved retirement was the 2017 short Unfortunate Circumstances. 28. Berry Gordy. If you don't know Berry Gordy by name, then you almost certainly know his songs. The Motown head honcho wrote such classics as Do You Love Me, Lonely Teardrops, and Reet Petite. He also ran the Motown business, produced records for artists such as The Miracles, and penned many of the hits for the Jackson 5. His lifetime's work was rewarded with the National Medal of Arts in 2016. 29. Jerry Lee Lewis. With a nickname like the Killer, Jerry Lee Lewis is obviously a bit of a wildman. The veteran rock n-roller started back in the 1950s, recording hits such as Whole Lotta Shaking Going On and Great Balls of Fire. He also came back with a vengeance in the 1960s. Despite having a stroke in 2019, Jerry Lee Lewis is reportedly back to being able to play the piano. 30. Bob Newhart. Bob Newhart rose to fame in the 1960s via his stand-up performances and his best-selling comedy albums. The Illinois-born funnyman then transitioned into TV, starring in the sitcoms The Bob Newhart Show and Newhart. Now into his 10th decade on planet Earth, Newhart is keeping himself busy. He voiced Professor Proton in the TV series Young Sheldon in 2020. 31. Daphne Self. Another model who has admirably defied expectations of beauty is Daphne Self. The Englishwoman has been modeling since 1949, and she has no plans to give it up any time soon, harboring a deep love of traversing the globe and going on new adventures. The nonagenarian also tries to help other people to achieve their dreams, and she should know given her dream life. 32. Burt Bacharach. Burt Bacharach should need little introduction. A prolific record producer, songwriter, and pianist, he enjoyed a career spanning 7 decades. Many of the songs he co-wrote with the late lyricist Hal David became hits, including Raindrops Keep Fallin' on My Head. And that's what friends are, for Bacharach was still an active artist well into his 90s, even surprising fans with a new song in 2020. He passed away on February 8, 2022. 33. Raquel Welch. Following her bikini-clad appearance in 1 Million Years BC, Raquel Welch became a leading sex symbol of the 1960s and 1970s. The auburn-haired actress was never the most critically adored, but she was a huge favorite of men and teenage boys. And she did win a Golden Globe in 1974 for her performance in The Three Musketeers. Now in her 80s, Welch still works occasionally, appearing most recently in the 2017 TV sitcom Date My Dad. 34. Sir Michael Caine. Another great English actor is Sir Michael Caine. The double Oscar winner has been on the big screen ever since his breakthrough in the swinging 60s. Caine has appeared in over 130 movies, many of them classics such as Get Carter and Alfie. And his work ethic has not diminished due to his advancing years, with the knighted Londoner filming a number of new projects at the time of writing. 35. Chubby Checker. An early rock and roll pioneer, Chubby Checker became an overnight sensation upon the release of his hit single The Twist, actually a spirited cover of a Hank ballad song. The catchy slice of rock and roll and its accompanying dance went huge, meaning Checker's place in rock history was assured. That's not to say he rested on his laurels, as the star continued to make music in the following decades, and he still performs live today. 36. Nancy Olson. Actress Nancy Olson was a mere 20 years old when she was cast in the iconic 1950 film Sunset Boulevard. This not only won the star an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress, but it also catapulted her into a great career. She went on to appear in several Disney movies, including Pollyanna and Son of Flubber, and Olson was still acting in 2010, appearing in an episode of Big Love. 37. Harry Belafonte. Harry Belafonte, a Navy vet, spent his early years perfecting his musical talents and then began appearing in movies. He was especially big in the 1950s. During that decade, Belafonte appeared on Broadway, won a Tony Award, and starred in Bright Road and Carmen Jones. Belafonte went on to star in many famous films during the 1990s and 2000s, including Kansas City, Swing Vote, and Bobby. He suffered a seizure in 2015, but the actor later continued working regardless. 38. June Lockhart. June Lockhart was born in June 1925 as the daughter of two established actors Gene and Kathleen Lockhart. She began her career acting alongside them, playing their daughter in the 1938 MGM remake of A Christmas Carol. Since then, she's been in lots of famous TV shows, including Lassie, Lost in Space, Full House, and General Hospital. 39. Clint Eastwood. Famous actor Clint Eastwood turned 90 in May 2020. He'd found fame back in the 60s as the star of Sergio Leone's spaghetti western trilogy, A Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. After that, he became the face of the western genre in general. Eastwood has stayed in Hollywood all his life, eventually directing movies as well as appearing in them. 40. Ursula Andress. Swiss actress Ursula Andress had her first real taste of success after taking on the role of Honey Rider, the Bond girl in Dr. No. But while she appeared physically in the film, her voice was dubbed over because her accent was considered to be too strong. And Andress continued acting until 2005. Since then, though, she stayed out of the limelight while struggling to fight osteoporosis. 41. Faye Dunaway. Rising to fame in the latter part of the 60s, Faye Dunaway's big break came with 1967's Bonnie and Clyde. Further hits such as The Thomas Crown Affair and Chinatown followed before the star won an Oscar for Network in 1977. And while she remains a respected actress, Dunaway has since played a more low-key role in Hollywood, a fact she attributes to 1981's maligned Mommy Dearest. 42. Jane Fonda. The daughter of esteemed Hollywood star Peter, Jane Fonda followed in her father's footsteps and achieved cult status with 1968's Barbarella. However, her activism against the Vietnam War made her a public figure of a different nature during the 60s, even earning her the nickname Hanoi Jane. These days, the Oscar-winning actress can still be seen on screen in the popular Netflix sitcom Grace and Frankie. 43. Vanessa Redgrave. Following Vanessa Redgrave's 1937 birth, Laurence Olivier declared from the Old Vic stage that a great actress has been born, and indeed, Olivier's words couldn't have been more prophetic, as Redgrave became one of the 60s most respected stars. 7 Oscar nominations and 1 win later, the actress continues to bring her talents to the screen, the stage, and the political arena. 44. Judi Dench. Throughout the 60s, Judi Dench earned a reputation as one of England's finest stage actresses. But the star achieved her greatest successes at the turn of the millennium with 7 Academy Award nominations and 1 win for Shakespeare in Love in 1999. In fact, her prestige is so great that the word dench is now slang for great in the UK. 45. Twiggy. Often considered one of the world's first supermodels, Twiggy helped shape the look that would epitomize swinging London. After her career on the catwalk, the star aka Leslie Lawson has worked as an actress, TV host, and animal rights activist. Even so, she remains rooted in the fashion world and has recently modeled for Marks Spencer. 46. Diana Ross. When it comes to R&B, it's hard to find anyone as influential as Diana Ross. As a member of the Supremes, Ross helmed 12 number-one singles during the 60s, including 1964's iconic Baby Love, and later, the star launched a successful solo career with hits such as 1985's Chain Reaction. And she was declared Billboard's Female Entertainer of the Century in 1996. 47. Jerry Mathers. Although Jerry Mathers started his career as a toddler, it wasn't until the 60s that he became a household name, thanks to his role in the sitcom Leave It to Beaver. But Hollywood didn't beckon for Mathers. Instead, he signed up for the Air National Guard and got a college education. And while he's since had some minor TV and movie roles, he can mostly be found today guest hosting radio shows. 48. Sir David Attenborough. Sir David Attenborough is a national treasure in his native United Kingdom. The naturalist and broadcaster is beloved for his thrilling nature documentaries. These award-winning docs include Life on Earth and Frozen Planet. Now deep into his 90s, he is continuing to work hard. As recently as 2021, the series The Earthshot Prize Repairing Our Planet was released. 49. Jay North. Jay North was just 6 when he landed the cheeky title role in Dennis the Menace back in the 60s, and after the series' end, he continued acting, lending his voice to animated TV shows such as The Pebbles and Bam Bam Show. North has also since been vocal about how he suffered from a difficult childhood while acting. He now puts his experiences to good use, then, by helping today's kids working in showbiz. 50. Tina Louise. As Gilligan's Island's seductive Ginger Grant, Tina Louise was immensely popular with viewers. Behind the scenes, though, the actress' fights with producers didn't win her any favors, and later she would even blame Ginger for stopping her from being cast for meatier roles. But Louise continued acting as well as branching out into releasing music and becoming an author. 51. Julie Newmar. Before Zoe Kravitz donned the famous Catwoman costume, Julie Newmar was the original feline in the 60s hit show Batman. She continued acting in minor roles, and her last credit as it stands is from 2017. Fascinatingly, Newmar actually spent much of her life since finding fame as a businesswoman. In the 70s, for example, she obtained patents for women's underwear. The following decade, meanwhile, saw her go into property investment in LA. 52. Shirley MacLaine. Shirley MacLaine achieved fame in the 50s, but it was in the 1960s that she became a true Hollywood star. That's right, she received 2 Oscar nominations that decade for her roles in Irma La Douce and The Apartment. And her career would continue to thrive in the following decades, with that coveted Academy Award finally clinched in 1983. 53. Nichelle Nichols. As one of the first African-American characters not to play a servant, Nichelle Nichols broke ground as Lieutenant Uhura in TV's Star Trek. After the series was cancelled, Nichols even worked alongside NASA, helping them recruit more women and minority employees. Plus, she continues to act and has at least 3 projects in the pipeline at the time of writing. 54. Warren Beatty. After a string of acting credits in the 60s, Warren Beatty made his mark in Hollywood when he produced and starred in the 1967 film Bonnie and Clyde. Impressively, it went on to be nominated for 10 Oscars. However, even with an enviable 14 Academy Award nominations under his belt, Beatty had a flop with his last outing as director for Rules Don't Apply. 55. Catherine Deneuve. French star Catherine Deneuve juggled a career as a successful actress, muse to Yves Saint Laurent, and a model. Nicknamed the Ice Maiden after spending her time playing distant but alluring characters in the 60s, Deneuve continues to act today, appearing in films alongside her 2 children. 56. Marianne Faithfull. Though she's known as a singer, Marianne Faithfull was equally famous for her daring rock and roll lifestyle. In fact, one story of her being caught by police naked, but for a fur rug, is arguably more well-known than her music. Nevertheless, a career revival in the 90s made her instantly recognizable to Generation Z and led to collaborations with the likes of Beck and Metallica. 57. Britt Ekland. After having a quiet start to the beginning of the 60s, Swedish actress Britt Ekland came into her own in the latter half of the decade, with a string of successful appearances in films such as The Night They Raided Minsky's. And she's also since had a string of high-profile romances, including a marriage to Peter Sellers and a relationship with rocker Rod Stewart. Currently, though, she lives a relatively quiet life with arguably fewer headlines to her name. 58. Sarah Miles. Despite being nominated for awards for her roles in 60s films Term of Trial and The Servant, Sarah Miles is probably best remembered for her romances with Laurence Olivier, Steven Spielberg, and Robert Mitchum. However, today she has opted for a calm life and works as an alternative healer and therapist. 59. Katharine Ross. After receiving critical acclaim for her roles in The Graduate and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Katharine Ross established herself as a true Hollywood star. And those early hits led her to a decades-long career that has seen her on stage and on screen up to the present day. Ross' personal life has seen its ups and downs, but in 2017 she starred in The Hero with her husband, Sam Elliott. 60. Loretta Swit. During the early 1970s, Loretta Swit was starting to make a name for herself as a comedy actress, and then came MASH. That show and the star's performance in it would subsequently go down in TV history. In fact, Swit was nominated for Emmy Awards 10 out of the 11 years that MASH was on the air. And while the actress didn't appear in anything as huge again, perhaps she didn't need to. 61. Paula Prentice. Paula Prentice has been around in the entertainment industry for a long time. She appeared in many movies during the 1960s and 70s, for instance. These included What's New Pussycat, The Sunshine Boys, and Catch-22, that last one alongside her husband, Richard Benjamin. The star can also be seen in 2016 Netflix horror I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House. What's more though, Prentice and Benjamin are still together and have been married for over half a century. 62. Dyan Cannon. Dyan Cannon has picked up several Academy Award nominations over the years, including for 1969's Bob Carroll, Ted Alice, and 1978's Heaven Can Wait. So she's had a very successful career. Cannon was also once married to acting legend Cary Grant and is the mother of his daughter, Jennifer. 63. Susan Anton. Susan Anton got big toward the end of the 1970s after earning a Golden Globe nomination for the 1979 film Golden Girl. The star then went on to gain an NBC variety show titled Presenting Susan Anton. Yet even though her star faded a little as time went on, she's kept her good looks extraordinarily well. 64. Talia Shire. Talia Shire is part of an acclaimed filmmaking family that includes her director brother, Francis Ford Coppola, as well as her movie star nephew, Nicolas Cage. And Shire's been in not one but two incredibly beloved film franchises herself, Rocky and The Godfather. In fact, the star secured Oscar nominations for her work in both of these legendary movie series. 65. Ellen Burstyn. Actress Ellen Burstyn made people sit up and take notice in 1971's The Last Picture Show, for which she gained both Academy Award and Golden Globe nominations. Then came something even bigger, the legendary 1974 horror movie, The Exorcist. Burstyn is still acting today, too, and in 2014 she played an important role in the movie Interstellar. 66. Barbra Streisand. Barbra Streisand has been a big star for a long time now, of course, but she was especially luminous in the 1970s. During that decade, you see, the actress starred in The Way We Were and A Star Is Born, among other classic movies. And these days the prolific Streisand is 78 years old and says she has never had plastic surgery, despite rumors claiming otherwise. 67. Joyce DeWitt. In the 1970s, Joyce DeWitt was offered a choice of two different comedy pilots. The one that she chose ended up being the massively successful Three's Company. The actress never really wanted to be famous, though, and even after the show ended, she kept a low profile. DeWitt is now in her 70s, and she has aged very well. 68. Jacqueline Bisset. Actress Jacqueline Bisset appeared in many films throughout the 1970s, including Airport, The Grasshopper, and Murder on the Orient Express. And in 1977 her star soared thanks to a sexy underwater scene in The Deep. Yet Bisset herself hated that she'd been filmed in this way and felt that it had been exploitative. That's why, in 2018, she added her voice to Hollywood's Me Too movement. 69. Valerie Perrine. Valerie Perrine nabbed an Oscar nomination for the 1974 movie Lenny and also won herself a place in many men's hearts. Writer Larry Karaszewski told Vice in 2014 that he considered Perrine the thinking man's sex symbol. Perrine's life is very different today, however, as she battles with the effects of Parkinson's disease. 70. Diane Keaton. Diane Keaton started on Broadway before making her 1970 big-screen debut in Lovers and Other Strangers. This marked the start of a long and successful on-screen career that continues to this day, and, now aged 74, Keaton is open to a little cosmetic help to roll back the years. But in her 2014 memoir, the Hollywood veteran explained, "I don't see anything wrong with face lifts or Botox or fillers. They just erase the hidden battle scars. I intend to wear mine, sort of." 71. Lindsay Wagner. Lindsay Wagner played none other than the Bionic Woman throughout the 1970s. Yet her initial appearance in The $6 Million Man was supposed to be her last job with Universal. The character proved so popular, though, Wagner scored her own spin-off and it led to an illustrious career. In fact, the star is still acting. Wagner appeared in Grey's Anatomy in 2019, for instance, and provided motion capture for the 2020 game Death Stranding. 72. Michael Learned. Michael Learned named so because her father had expected a boy burst into the popular consciousness in the early 1970s as Olivia in The Waltons, and that role remains what she's most famous for to this day. Scandalously, though, in 2019 Learned confessed to the Daily Mail that she and her on-screen husband Ralph Waite had been in love, even though he was married. 73. William Daniels. Nowadays, Daniels is perhaps most famous for being the voice of Kit on Knight Rider, and for playing George Feeney on both Boy Meets World and its sequel Girl Meets World. Oh, and in 2018, the then 91-year-old actor foiled a burglar at his house, prompting his co-star Will Friedle to tweet, "Don't ever mess with Mr. Feeney." 74. Joel Grey. Joel Grey has an Oscar and a Tony Award to his name after starring in the screen and stage versions of Cabaret, and despite turning 90 in 2022, Grey popped up in Tick, Tick, Boom in 2021 and will be in the FX series The Old Man. 75. Rita Moreno. Rita Moreno turned 90 at the tail end of 2021, and she is still going strong. The legendary EGOT winner most recently lit up the big screen in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story remake in 2021. She's also got at least 3 more projects in the pipeline.